Hello, another intro for another episode of Startup Rant. And today we are going to rant about music. You see, um, you probably already figured out that I'm a movie fan, buff, that I like to watch movies, TV shows, and stuff like that. I mentioned that through some episodes. But also, I like music. I was a DJ actually. I was working when I was working on the radio station. I also enjoyed in, you know, putting the playlist that we're gonna, play over the night, or I would choose music for some shows, for other journalists, for other shows, not just mine, and things like that. And also from the early age, I was surrounded by radio playing the songs all the time. Nobody played in the family or something like that, so I never learned to play anything, but I liked good music. And to enjoy good music, you need to have what? Well, depends. Depends how do you enjoy music. You can enjoy music by listening on your mobile phone, on your smartphone, or CD, or gramophone, or something like that. Marko is one person who also enjoys music. He's the guest today on this episode, and he created um, something cool device. Yeah, it's a hardware thing that we are going to talk today about in this Startup Rant episode. Uh, it, uh, it's interesting startup, it's interesting company that he is building right now, especially in this kind of audio world where you really need to know what you're doing, and you really need to understand the nuances of the people who are listening to the music in a maybe even kind of a obsessive way to say. So listen to the episode, it's really interesting. Visit all the links, check the device that he is building. Maybe you need it. Maybe you need that kind of amplifier, or is it? You have to see it by yourself or hear it by yourself. It's cool. It's interesting because usually startups like these are known startups in the music world, and he's just trying to break ground there to get people to hear his sound. So listen to the episode, visit the links, and of course, like always, I invite you to follow and subscribe to all StartUprant stuff, from the Facebook to the YouTube to the whatnot. Check the links. Thank you all. Well, hello. This is another episode of Startup Rant, and we are recording, and we are we have an audio startup right now, which is rare, because it's not just kind of a software thingy; it's actual physical thingy. And Marko, hi, how are you?
Fine, fine. Thanks.
You're fine. Well, I'm gonna fine you with kind of a fine because I need you to pay up on that audio pitch that you told me. I think it was like kind of 2 years ago or something. But I was really looking forward of what you're doing, and watching the progress, as I am kind of an audio producer because I was working on the radio um, show before as a radio host, but also as a radio technician, and also I had a company that was dwelling in that kind of a production. And when I saw your product, which is interesting, um, like what actually drive you to come to this audio field?
Yeah, it's a long story. So, first time that I was interested in audio was when I was visiting my friend, and he had a gramophone with the nice speakers, and we played some records, and I think it was Queen records, and we played a couple of songs, and it sounded fantastic, and I was hooked in. Okay, this is nice. I want to have this system one someday in the future in my home. So that was the first time that I was into the hi-fi. And after lots of years, when I was in the college, I met up one also student that was building his own amplifiers. So that was a fun thing. Okay, I always want to build amplifier. So what can I do? And then he sent me some schematics, and I start to build one or two amplifiers that I had for a couple of years. And they were okay, not so great amplifiers, but it was a start. And it was like my first electronic audio device built by myself. So okay, after that, I get the job, start working as actually not as a engineer, electronic engineer, as a software developer. And when I get some money, I want to build another better amplifier, so I spent my salary onto the electronic parts and built another amplifier that was better. And okay, that was okay, but I need to build preamplifier after that. And I thought, okay, I know lots of things. I got a good education in the college. So can I design something on my own? So I designed one preamplifier that was the best preamplifier that I could build. So it was so good, low distortion, everything by high-end specs. And when I plug it in, it didn't do anything. It was just like straight wire. So it was good in measurements, but it was like okay, nothing special. It's just a wire that I can adjust volume. And that was also, it was never completed, so I never put it in the box because I didn't like the sound. But it was my first project. That was my schematic, my design, and it took me maybe 10 years after that to build something again on my own. So on the cousin wedding, I met one.
Oh, okay.
one.
I see some kind of,
Yeah, long story.
Right.
But
I like it. I like it because that's the flavor here right now. That's the flavor, people.
yeah, on my cousin wedding, I met a guy who owned the company that builds amplifiers. And okay, I always want to build amplifiers in a company, and he show me some amplifiers, and I made the constructor, designer of the amplifiers, and we had a talk, and it got me hooked in again. So as a side job, as a hobby, I start to design some crazy things, and I want to build something different that never been built before, that has never been built before. So I start to play with the distortion, just fooling around. And I never thought it can sound good because we were, as engineer, educated that okay, distortion is something that is unwanted.
So
We don't
you
want.
You didn't listen to U2? Okay, back to your
Yeah,
story. We will get back to U2 later on. And Bono
yeah, yeah,
and Edge.
yeah. So this was the start of the product that is now completed. So it's starting around to fooling around with the distortion. Okay, when I add distortion, there were some things that get better when I listen to music, but also some things that were getting worse. So it took me 2 years to polish, the right distortion, the distortion that
Mm.
is euphonic, that is getting you all the good stuff that we want to hear without the bad stuff. So in the end, it resulted with a product that is now completed, and soon we will start to marketing the product and go around with the presentation. Coronavirus slowed things down, but it is what it is. And yeah, I think this is the whole story, how it all started.
Wow. Man,
Yeah,
that was
long story.
no. That's like, people would like people will listen today in this pop culture, let's say, all kind of songs and whatnot, and they will say, okay, that's just an audio sound. They will think it's easy, just like, you know, but they don't understand that even for a simple song that they think that's simple, and then you go to that next specter of Queen or whatnot, like people were working like on one song, they would be working on like months just to perfect the sound, not the lyrics. The lyrics, like, somebody would write something like that, but just to get that kind of a, if I just put this a little notch up or a little notch down, and it's like a kind of like, I like to what I like to do is, like, when you talk about music, it's kind of or sound. It's like, you're preparing a meal, and I'm ranting right now because startup rant, but you're preparing a meal, and is it a little bit saffron inside, or do I put a little bit, kind of pepper, or is it like a little bit more of chili peppers or this pepper? It can change a lot, especially when you're listening it. And what you right now mentioned is like kind of distortions. Like, people don't realize that if you're listening to Bon Jovi and you're listening It's My Life, you know or you're listening to U2, there's the distortions actually giving the flavor that's not, somebody would think like, why would you put that there? And just go to this kind of at the end what you said, marketing, and right now the pandemic and everything. Like, I'm a movie buff. Like, I talk about movies all the time, but music is a really important part of the movies. From the Williams doing the score for the Star Wars and Indiana Jones or whatnot, to the right now Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer are doing sounds there, and in the Pirates of Caribbean, to all those movies that actually are talking about the music in the beginning, like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin singing and dancing all along, and you have the Red Pack and everybody, and right now maybe soundtracks are a little bit bland because they're just music, but before it was like almost like a musical, everything was. But I can remember even Kirk Douglas, the father of Michael Douglas, and the movie Young Man with a Horn, when we have this kind of a jazz kind of a thing going on, to the Satchmo, which is like Louis Armstrong. Everybody knows that song, "What a Wonderful World," but they don't know maybe about the whole spectrum what was happening at that time and the music that was in the movies. And High Fidelity, the movie with the Cusack and Jack Black, early Jack Black, where they're like even talking about gramophones and those records that you mentioned in the beginning, which maybe right now people only know like or associate with like DJs, not something they have at home. But High Fidelity magazine actually wrote about your stuff. How is that, like, for the company, for the product, and for the recognition of what you do?
Yeah, I think it means a lot to us because that was first public recognition that what we are doing, what we were doing last 2-3 years is good. So, when you are in the office listening to your device, perfecting it, and also in a small group, you are doing some listening tests. Still, you are not sure. Maybe we are all biased because we are all hooked into what we do, and we think it's better than it is. So it's important for me that we got a good review from High Fidelity, but also it's good for marketing. And we got couple of queries from dealers that were interested in our products. Of sure, as this is audio product, marketing is just giving you some awareness of a brand and maybe goodwill that people will listen to your equipment, to your device when they were visiting the audio dealer or they were into audio show. And this is first part. Another part is we need to make some presentations for interested people that are interested in our device, because you cannot buy audio device if you cannot hear it before. It's just it just doesn't work. When you
Yeah.
are buying PC or a laptop, it you can read some specs, you can compare some numbers, and maybe watch YouTube reviewer what he will say about the product, and you can make a decision, would you buy it or not. But audio is so subjective matter, so and you cannot trust somebody that you don't know, because everybody has a different taste. It's like food, like you said. It's like spice in the food. Somebody wants to have spicier meals, somebody wants to have maybe less spice in the meal. He wants to taste the meat, not the spices. So it all depends. And I think that audio products are not for everybody. And also the best product in the audio, maybe it's not for some other person. So it's all, what do you like? And I think if we can just have some, like 10% of people that are audiophiles and that like our product, it's a huge success. Only 10%, and I think
Yeah.
it's possible, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I listened to your device. I saw your device, and it's not actually like something like it's on the cheap specter. It's actually going up the hill, and not just with the price, but also with the everything that you are doing there. But you mentioned like it's not for kind of everybody. I hate when somebody buys like I don't know $10,000 worth of computer and then just plays. Um, Games on it that are not even games on it, but are games on Facebook. I'm just, so also with the audio device, do you think right now, for the audio world out there, can we indulge a little bit people because you mentioned specs? What do you have under the hood of your device there? Just I know it's not gonna represent because they cannot hear it right now, but
Yeah,
some specs for some people can make a difference.
yeah. So under the hood, we have the processing part of the audio. It's uh, input stage. So audio signal goes to processing device that is designed in the company. And also we have intellectual property,
Cool.
and
Nice.
there
Nice.
is one patent pending for it. Inside that processing unit, we are using lots of integrated circuits. Maybe in high end, they are not so popular, but if you know what you are doing, you can create with integrated circuits anything that will sound as good as high end equipment. So just to mention a few integrated circuits, there's a lots of operating amplifiers inside, and we have modulators, demodulators that were used in radio frequency stuff. So radio equipment. It's not something that I know is used in audio equipment. So this is the first first
Okay.
time that anybody put this integrated circuit into the amplifier.
Okay,
So
that's
and
why
this
you're a
is
mosaic, right? You make a picture like mosaic of the parts that are like stained glass or something like that. Which people were not like, oh, I'm gonna just use that. They were like, I'm not gonna use that, but you actually used that and created this. Interesting, interesting.
yeah. So it was fun, because when I started playing around with electronics and parts, I haven't had haven't had any idea what will I do. So I can use any part anywhere, and there was nobody that will tell me, okay, this is wrong. So that was a
Okay.
good thing,
Yeah.
and also maybe a bad thing. But luckily, we we finalized the product, and reviewers liked it. I think that also 10% of people would like it, maybe more, maybe less, but we have a good product. Also, um, after the processing part, there is the power amplifier part, and this is something that we took OEM part from a third party,
Okay. Okay.
and we tested few different companies, the modules that they are providing, and we took the one that works best with our processing. So maybe it's not absolute best on the market, but it's something that works best for us, let's say.
It's
And
absolute best in your mosaic right now.
yes, it's absolute best for us regarding the sound. So, and also we never were doing compromise on the cheap parts. Whenever we can, put some part that makes sense to us, that will increase sound quality, we we just bought it. And little by little, the price goes up, and it's not a cheap product. It's like a sports car. So if you are into the cars, you would respect the sports car. Maybe you cannot afford it, but you would always, desire it. So this is the same kind of sports car in the audio world. So it's expensive product. If it gets you where you want it, it gives you lots of pleasure, because it's entertainment industry. So like sports car, you are driving a sports car because you want to be entertained, not because
Yeah.
you
You know,
so
you know. there are people paying lots of money just to go to the with their sport car, which is in the garage all the time, but they just take it out, go to those kind of circuits just to play around that day, and that's it. And there's also audio fans, audio enthusiasts that have like a special almost room just to enjoy the sound of it. But they like will spend. I met some, and it was like they will use the golden laced wires or whatnot. They will position they will even pay people who are sound engineers to come and to set up the you know uh, monitors, because they don't call them monitors in that kind of world, not just speakers, and they will like put out everything, and they will laugh at people who are like doing 5-1 because they don't want to 5-1, they want to steer. And there are other guys who, or girls, and women who want like, I don't know, I want like area, which is like for movies, like sound coming from the sky, which is not going to religion stuff, but there is a kind of sound booths or whatnot that people are building at home, trying to get that kind of a sound that works for them. And that's why your product is interesting, because you like played with the parts. You didn't have, like you said, somebody telling you, oh no, you cannot do that, or yeah, you do that. Because in the sound industry, I believe there are so much kind of a scrutinism to some part, to some parts of the technology, um, audio, analog, whatnot. And there are some enthusiasts on the other hand who are like promoting, oh no, this is the best. And is it the best? If it's not working with this kind of part of equipment, is it the best? So your product is it for every Joe? Like, there's a guy listening right now to the counter radio on his shelf deck in the kitchen, or is this like a little bit more for somebody who understands the nuances of the sound?
I think it's not for everybody. Sure, it's not for everybody because of the price. This is the you know, first
First
filter.
bracket, oh, the price,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna pay for that.
yeah. It's expensive device, and it's for some serious audiophile. So what when I say audiophile, I would say it's a person who likes, after the hard work, sit down when he gets home, sit down and listen to music for 1 hour or 2 hours or whatever he thinks, you know, whatever time he can afford, and just listen and relax. And it is like maybe for somebody else meditation, maybe
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. And if he can enjoy every day half hour, 1 hour, 2 hours listening to music, just sitting and be there, thinking that he is somewhere else. It's like time machine. So you can listen to singers that are not here, and there are lots of recordings that you can play, and if you have a good system, it will you know be alive for you in that time, like for for
Yeah,
half hour, 1 hour. So
yeah,
it's a it's a crazy stuff. It's entertaining, and it's entertaining. That's it.
yeah. Beautiful. Tell me,
Yeah.
are there any kind of limitation for I like to say, people don't know about me, but I like to sometimes sit down and listen to a piece of opera, right? And also before kind of a call right now, I maybe just put some kind of a Metallica or whatnot. And sometimes I'm just like into Michael Jackson, like listening to the Thriller album, and not whole of them, just like few songs or something like that. Or I will go with the Wakanagi band from Japan, which is like hard metal, and they are doing things with like amazing things with traditional instruments, which in Japan are a little bit more high notes, and they're doing something with the drums with a little bit low notes. So it's kind of for me like, wow, I get chills. But is there kind of limitation for your device that can be pestered with it, that they that's kind of sounds, if I'm just going switch between those, I need to do some presets or whatnot?
Um, yeah, this is a good question. So when we were designing device, we wanted to have neutral sound. Let's say if their neutral sound exists in audio, because what is
Yeah,
neutral? When you start
nothing.
recording, it's you lose something.
Yeah.
So um, and we tested it on different styles because I am that guy that like to listen to hard rock, classic, electronic music, jazz sometimes, folk music. So I like to listen everything, and I created this device, and the voicing of the device is, just to listen whatever you like. And in that matter, I think it's very versatile. It doesn't depend on the styles. There are some amplifiers, some designs that are having pleasant sound, but they don't have dynamics, the attack. So they are not good for rock. They are good for some easy, maybe ambient music or some classical music that doesn't have uh, lots of dynamics, like chamber music,
Yeah, yeah. Chamber
quiet
music
chamber
is,
music or
yeah.
something. But you know they are good for that kind of music, but for rock or other kinds of music they are not. Also, there are some amplifiers that are good for rock and speakers also, but for other kinds of music they are not so good. And we want to be something more versatile than that, and it took us long time. It's not easy thing to do, but I believe I can listen anything.
Yeah, and when you showed me your device, when we were listening to some songs, I always close my eyes, because I want to see the depth of the of the sound in a room, and I realized that when I'm listening to at that time, it was like I'm in no room at all. It was like it was like kind of a I'm in the music right now, and I'm not a guy who's gonna nitpick on like there's a little bit kind of a distortion in the high notes, or when they hit the snare on the drums, when the Ringo hits here. No, but I'm like kind of man, I'm just like sit here right now and just be part of it. And that was what's like really cool moment for me, because I could be part of it. And you went to some conferences before pandemic, and you showcase your device to the people. Let's move from that. You mentioned, and I mentioned, High Fidelity as a magazine, whatnot. But what people who come to those kind of events, what did they say?
So we were presenting prototype in Warsaw. It was more than 1 year, 1.5 year, and we were new startup. There's every year 300 new companies that builds the products, and it's very difficult to get attention of the public because they have a limited time. They want to visit some brands that they know, they want to hear them. So for somebody who is starting up and wants to build a name, maybe every 10th person will go to your room and give some time to listen to it. So regarding the how much people listened to our system and how much were attending the show, it's, I would say, 1 to 10. But
Okay.
the people who were courage enough to enter our room were surprised by the sound, by the quality, and usually people were skeptical. They enter the room, they doesn't see any familiar brand, any big name, but they like the sound, so they go a little forward and maybe sit in the chair, and some people stayed for a longer time, for a half an hour. That's
Yeah,
success
that's
for us.
yeah, yeah.
Real nice. And I saw them that they were enjoying. Lots of people were um, saying, "Oh, this sounds great. It's a good sound." So it was very positive feedback for us. Other thing is, people like the sound, but is it enough for them to buy the device? No, no, it's not.
Yeah,
So as a
yeah.
new company, we are facing the new problems because if they would like to buy a device, there's no guarantee that we will exist in 2 years or 3 years. And if something happens to the device, who will fix it? So there's a lot of things that we need to consider when we are selling a product. So in that case, it will go slower than usually it goes when we are some familiar brand and we are longer time in the market. But it is what it is, and it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, it's that kind of a world. Regarding that world, of what you said right now about selling, and sending the message that you are a new and people might have reservation to that. How is with the funding? Did you receive any kind of a funding? Is it hard to explain this because if you're talking with the bank will just say, "Where's the money in it?" Not just like, "Oh, I like the sound of it." Because if they don't see money in it, they don't like the sound of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we were lucky when we start. We have had a prototype long time before we were picking and listening, and then we applied for a European Union funding, and we get
Cool, cool.
funds. It was 85% their part and 15% of our part. And now this is the over. We have a product and there is a next phase. So currently we are not founded anymore. We are on our own, and we had some possibilities when, because we need money. Everybody needs money, especially startups. Banks doesn't want to give us loans, and it's reasonable because they are commercial banks. They are not some investors. They want to see that you can return the money, and if you cannot show them that
Yeah, yeah.
you have some sustainable business, it's hard.
they're they're not listening to the tune. They just want to see the price of the entry for that concert there, and your concert is playing or not.
Yes, yes. So, and it's okay, I understand that. Another way of founding is maybe get some loan that is with the low interest rates. I think this is also good way of founding, and we'll see. Currently, we are relying on our other expertise, and it's IT consulting. And whenever we have time, we are doing some consultancy stuff that will, that get us enough money to continue to work on it. In future, we'll see how it will go, but we are satisfied with the, founding by ourselves. It's
Beautiful.
it
Okay.
yeah, it's okay. But when I explained to my wife, I don't have any money because I invested everything into this product, and I want to push it as much as I can. So it's not so easy.
Yeah,
but,
I know. I
but
I had some similar conversation as well. Yeah.
yeah, but my family supports me, so it's okay.
It's like that movie with that family where everybody is singing and they're on the hill in the Switzerland.
Yeah.
But it's kind of it's being a startup. It's a hard job. Everything is hard about that. And especially when the whole world is like sometimes looking at the startups like, oh, it's a software company. They're gonna do a next Facebook, WhatsApp, or whatnot. But you are in the actual product. You have like it's this yeah big box. And what would be your let's like wrap up things up. What would be like your um um kind of message or song to the future startups, or the startups who are trying right now in the hardware space, and not just hardware space like making a boxes, but actual complicated devices inside.
Yeah.
Don't do it is not the answer. Joke.
I I don't know, what is from where they are coming, but I know my story. So for me, it was just something natural. I When I start to work after the college, then I got my first job, and in a big company, and they have the hierarchy, they have management, and you are doing in a small box things that somebody thought that you should do. It's not natural for me. So big companies are okay. Some people liked it. They like the safety of the big company, and I can understand that. It's okay. But for me, I don't know. It I'm not into it. After that, I worked on one startup company. It was totally different experience, and I learned a lot because all the moving parts in that company, all the contracts, all the deals, all the opportunities that are there, and I like it. But it took a long time for me to be enough mature to start something on my own. But it came up naturally. It's not that I want it, but I changed the jobs every 2 years. And after changing, I don't know, 7, 8 jobs, I thought to myself, okay, I'm not capable of working for somebody else.
It's time to break free.
Yeah, it's time to, or I could be unemployed, or I could start something on my own. So it's not something that I was thinking about a lot, but it was okay. I have some experience, some knowledge, and maybe, I can start some working on my own. And for me, works okay. I pay a bills. I don't regret it. It's hard. Don't think it isn't. Um, so I think it needs to come naturally. The new generation are much quicker. They are more confident than we were because I think we were educated and our parents were working in big companies, and it takes some time, to change the mindset from that. But my my maybe my advice to the people who want to start startup is don't be afraid of failure. Failure
Mm.
will happen every once a while, and you cannot avoid it. And it's okay to fail, but learn something from it. And also with the failure, you get some experience, and also eventually you will be more and more successful. So
Amazing. That's a beautiful message because that's what always try to advise people who ask me something about startup. Like, if you want to go to the sure thing, go in the bakery or undertaking business because there is always a job there. Uh, Everything else is prone to failure. But if you are taking that as a notion to learn something from it and do something. And if you're passionate like you're passionate about music. It's not like you're just doing the job, right? You're passionate about it and you're creating something that feel that's very close to your heart. So respect to that. Okay, Marco, thank you for this call. Thank you for this talk. And thank you for everything you said. And I hope in a few months we'll talk again to see where Mosaic is.
yeah, thank you for this call. Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.